Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a great week. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how you can reproportion a portrait painting gone wrong. So when we're starting to paint a portrait, especially when we're very new at this, even if we're still learning how to sketch realistic images of people, it can take a long time to draw a really good sketch. There's a lot of correcting shapes and the size and the proportion of features in the face. And so when you're first starting out, if you want to be able to paint and not just be sketching, sometimes the best way to go about that is to actually start by tracing your image. I didn't do that in this case, and as you can see, I had some challenges. And so in order to fix this, I'm going to see if I can use this image to trace the outlines of her face. And then I'll use some transfer skills I have to transpose the image over here and see if we can make the corrections. I know right off the bat that her eyes are way too big for her face. Her nose is not horrible, but also probably needs some fixing, as do her lips. The shape of her face may also need to be widened a little bit. When I look at this image, it does seem a little bit wider than what I actually created here. And her ears I might have made a little bit too big. Her neck seems to be somewhat in proportion with what I painted, so that's not too bad. But let's see if we can fix this. I would really like to be able to do so, and I'd like to show you what I did. So I have this tracing paper here that I'm going to use to trace the outlines of this image. I guess one important thing to note here is that to start off, it's always great if you can have a really good detailed quality image of the portrait or the subject you're trying to paint or trying to draw. Having a very good quality image will make it easier for you to get a nice outline of the image, but it will also make it easier for you when it comes to painting the picture. So to make sure that I had a printed picture that was roughly the same size as the painting I was trying to make, I measured the distance between her hairline and her chin on my painting, and then I proceeded to augment the picture I had using the same dimensions between the hairline and her chin, and then I simply printed the picture. There are a number of different tools artists use to make proportional drawings for their paintings. For instance, there's an app called DaVinci Eye. You can use projectors, and you can also use transfer paper. One thing to note if you're going to use transfer paper is that the black surface of the transfer paper is a wax product, and so if you're going to be using it with watercolor media or any water-based media, it may not actually adhere to the wax, so that's something to use with caution. The method I'm using here with transparent paper is relatively cheap. It's easy, and it's also relatively fast to use. Now, it can be considered controversial to use tools like these to make your drawings for your paintings more proportional. It really is up to you what you feel is best for you to do in your case. But I think when you're learning, especially if you're trying to learn how to paint portraits, why not use all the help you can have? Even the old masters did it. So if it's good enough for them, why shouldn't we be able to do it too? So before completely removing it, I'm just gonna lift it to check on things. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna use this, move this aside. I'm gonna use this to do a little comparison. All right, so now we can see exactly how off I am. Okay, so let's see, try to align. Okay, so yeah, you can see that got the spacing of her eyes right, but her forehead is actually taller. Her eyes are a little bit lower, as were her eyebrows. Her nose, not quite as wide as I made it. And her lips, like her whole face is longer and also slightly wider. So now I'm gonna go in with a white charcoal pencil, and I'm gonna go on the reverse side of the tracing that I just did, and I'm gonna go over all of the lines that I made so that I can put it over my painting and transfer it later. So I'll get going. The reason I do this with white and not black is that some of the lines, some of the colors in my painting are already pretty dark, and if I tried to use black, it might not transfer quite as well. So I'm hoping that this, and this is something I have done in the past on some other projects that I've worked on, and I found that it worked quite well, and it didn't leave a lot of residue or lines that were difficult for me to get rid of. So okay, so now I'm basically just putting this over the painting I want to fix. Trying to be as precise as I can. And I'm going to use some tape again to make sure that nothing shifts when I'm doing the tracing. Once I'm at this stage, I'm just going to use a regular pencil to go over all the lines I made with the original lines that I traced from the image that I photocopied. And it's going to transfer all that white charcoal onto my painting surface. Okay. It's a start. It's a very faint outline, but it's something to work with. Definitely better than what I had before. So gives me a good starting point. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out part 2.